Yeah, Helping Hands. We're based in South Wigston, but we have surgeries throughout the borough and indeed at some of the local food banks. We're a team of people that provide free professional advice to residents who have issues around debt, housing, welfare benefits, maybe employment, a whole host of different areas that we can help in, or if we can't help, then we can refer them to partner organisations that are specialists in certain sort of areas. We've been going since 1997, so we've got a good track record of what we do. We've currently got a team of around 12 paid, all part-time, but 12 paid workers and about the same number of volunteers. And it's our volunteers that we are very passionate about at the moment, because we've got a restriction on funding in terms of getting more paid staff in. But we do like to get people from the community directly involved in the work that we do. And what we're looking for is some support in helping us, reach out to potential volunteers, but then to train them and to cover their expenses in terms of what they might do. So typically, a volunteer that would come and work for us would have a choice. They may do meeting and greeting. We operate drop-in centres throughout Leicestershire on a Monday to Friday. They'll meet a client that comes in, bearing in mind that many of our clients, this might be the first time they've really reached out for help. They don't quite know what to expect, so we try to make them at ease. We have volunteers that will do a lot of the paperwork, things like the GDPR forms and the permission to share information and that type of thing. It's a necessary evil, but it needs to be done, and it needs to be done in a sensitive way. And what we're particularly looking for at the moment are volunteers that can help clients fill in application forms, things like PIP forms, personal independent payments forms, attendance allowances, carers allowances, and those sorts of things. They are really, really daunting forms to fill in. A PIP form is a 48-page document, and it's a points-based system, and people really do struggle to fill in that form in an adequate way. So we train up some of our volunteers to sit alongside somebody. It always remains that person's form, but the volunteers will prompt them, make sure they understand what the question's looking for, and just give them the confidence to be able to put in an application. And it's that sort of thing that a volunteer can do really well. It's a step-by-step. It gives them a real sense of making a difference in somebody's life. And so we're looking at, in fact, on Wednesday, we're going to a volunteers fair in an attempt to sort of drum up some support for coming along and understanding a bit more about what we do. But it's really critical for us that we keep the volunteers coming through, that we nurture them, we encourage them to be there. So any funding that we could gain would be going towards that effort. At the moment, we've got a 6-week waiting list for PIP form completion, so the demand is there. So we realistically need 3 or 4 new volunteers to go through the system and to help.
So how do people find you? How do they find the service in the first place?
We've always been privileged that word of mouth has gone a long way to help people know about us. We are on social media. We do have a website. We're on all the obvious social media platforms, but increasingly we're working in partnerships. So as I said, we work with local food banks. We get some funding from Trussell Trusts, so they help us to get out there into places where the people that need the help are already there, rather than making that bold step across our threshold, unsure what to do. And we also get a small amount of funding from the GP surgeries. So the GP surgeries locally are all in a collective or a grouping called Primary Care Networks. So we work with the social prescribers in those GP surgeries, and they will refer people to us if it's a non-medical issue that some of the patients in the GP surgery are going through. So we work very closely with an awful lot of charities. We get donations and support from local faith groups, churches, the local mosque in Oadby. also refers to people. We occasionally have sessions in there. So we don't, to be honest with you, we don't have to try too hard to find the clients. It's about making sure that we don't incur on them an unrealistic waiting time. An example that I dealt with recently was a relatively young lady whose partner had died suddenly, unexpectedly. She had two kids, lived in rented accommodation, really didn't understand how the system works, and the system can be very, very confusing on how that works. And what our team have done is, over the last sort of 3 months, ensured that we've negotiated with the landlord to make sure that they don't take advantage of perhaps the situation, secured her tenancy there for a period of time. We've made sure the local council are aware, so things like council tax has been amended for single persons, and we've helped her with some carers allowance applications and universal credit applications, so that she at least has a foundation upon which she can rebuild her life. But I think the cost of life crisis means that there are a lot of people who perhaps only one life event away from needing the help, and perhaps they've gone through a life not ever expecting that they needed to reach out for help. And unfortunately, the system is a real minefield. If you don't know your way around it, you can easily miss out. Increasingly, you have to be fairly digitally savvy. Universal credit is all done online now. You have a journal, and you don't really ever get to speak to anybody in a DWP. You do it through your journal, and we have some regulars who will come into us almost every week because there's a message on their journal. They either don't understand it or can't access it. And we'll just interpret what that message might mean, or on the advocate on their behalf, if we feel that a change has happened which isn't justified or is very extreme. Going through COVID, so we have pop-ups surgeries, but we have an office in South Wigston. It's exactly where it should be, because South Wigston is an area of high deprivation. So it's where we should be, but certainly COVID identified that it really wasn't an adequate office for what we're doing. So, one of the things that I'm doing as chair is beginning to look at alternative locations for us that I think are more suitable, but that's still quite some way away.